Hey everybody, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're tackling something that pretty much everyone faces at some point, finding a new dentist.
It's one of those things, you have to do.
But it can be so overwhelming.
Right. How do you even begin? Like, how do you know if the dentist you found is a good dentist or not?
That's exactly what we're going to unpack today. We're going way beyond just like glancing at online reviews.
We'll give you a real toolkit to make a confident decision.
Love it. So let's start with the basics. Credentials.
Yeah, what should we be looking for? What do all those letters after a dentist's name even mean?
Beyond just seeing like DDS.
Right. So DDS or DMD, those are the two big ones.
Okay.
Doctor of Dental Surgery or Doctor of Dental Medicine, they actually mean the same thing.
Huh. Interesting. So that's like the baseline.
Yeah, that's like step one. But then you want to look for additional credentials.
Like what?
Things like FAGD, Fellow of the Academy of General Dentistry.
Ooh, fancy.
That shows they've gone above and beyond in continuing education.
So it's like the difference between someone who just learned the bare minimum in school
Yep.
versus someone who's like constantly staying updated on the latest techniques.
Exactly. You want someone who's committed to lifelong learning, right?
Absolutely. Now, what about board certification? I've seen that too.
That's another great indicator. It's not required to practice,
Oh, really?
but it shows they've voluntarily gone through a rigorous process to demonstrate their expertise.
So it's kind of like an extra layer of reassurance.
Exactly. And you can usually find all this info on their website.
Or you can check with like the American Dental Association.
Yep, their website has a Find a Dentist tool that lists credentials.
Awesome. Okay, so how do you know if the dentist you found is a good dentist or not, just based on those letters alone?
Right, good question. Credentials are important,
Mm-hmm.
but they're just one piece of the puzzle.
So what else should we be considering? What else should we be looking for?
Well, think about it like this. Would you want a surgeon who just graduated yesterday operating on you?
Probably not.
Right. Experience matters, especially for any kind of complex procedure.
That makes totally sense, but how do you know how much experience is enough?
It's tough to say there's no magic number.
Okay.
It really depends on what you need. If you're just looking for routine cleanings and checkups,
Hmm.
a few years of experience might be perfectly fine.
Okay.
But if you need something more complex, like implants or a full mouth restoration,
Yeah,
then you might want someone with a decade or more under their belt.
that makes sense.
You want someone who's really seen it all,
For sure. So basically, the level of experience should kind of match the complexity of what I need.
Exactly. Now, what if you have kids who need to see the dentist?
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other ballgame.
That's where specialization comes in. You'd want a pediatric dentist,
Right.
someone who's trained to work with children and make them feel comfortable.
Makes sense. Or like if I was looking to get braces.
Right, then you'd want an orthodontist,
Exactly.
someone who specializes in straightening teeth.
Gotcha. So how do you know if the dentist you found is a good dentist or not when it comes to experience? Is there a website for that too?
It's more about doing a little digging. Look for dentists who are upfront about their experience
Okay.
and their areas of focus. Don't be afraid to ask during a consultation, how many years have you been doing this specific procedure?
Got it. So credentials and experience check. Now let's talk about those online reviews.
Yeah, those can be a minefield.
Right. Everyone checks them.
Everyone, are they actually reliable? It's hard to know.
So how do you know if the dentist you found is a good dentist or not just from online reviews?
You have to be a little bit of a detective. Don't just take one review as gospel.
Okay.
Look for patterns in the feedback, both good and bad.
Interesting.
Are people consistently praising the dentist's chairside manner, or are there multiple complaints about long wait times?
Yeah, that would definitely be a red flag.
Right, so it's about looking at the overall picture.
Okay. But isn't there a danger of like putting too much stock in reviews?
Totally. People are more likely to leave a review when they're either super happy
Mm-hmm.
or super upset. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt.
So one glowing review doesn't guarantee a perfect experience.
Nope.
And one negative review doesn't mean the dentist is terrible.
Exactly. It's all about balance.
Makes sense. So online reviews can be helpful, but they shouldn't be your only source of information.
Absolutely. And sometimes the best reviews aren't online at all.
Ooh, what do you mean?
Think about it. Who do you trust more than some random person on the internet?
My friends and family.
Exactly. Word of mouth referrals can be gold,
I see what you mean.
especially if you know someone who has similar dental needs to you.
Like if you're terrified of needles.
Right. Ask your friend who's also afraid of needles which dentist they go to.
Brilliant. It's all about finding someone you can trust. So we've done our online research.
Check their credentials?
Talked to friends and family.
Now what?
What happens when you actually go to the dentist's office? What should I be paying attention to during like a consultation or my first appointment?
That in-person vibe is super important.
Yeah.
It's like a first date
Ooh,
almost.
interesting.
You're assessing compatibility.
I like that.
So see if you click.
So what should I be looking for? What are some green flags?
Pay attention to the dentist's communication style.
Okay.
Do they listen to you, like really listen?
Yeah.
Or do they just kind of brush off your concerns?
So how do you know if the dentist you found is a good dentist or not, just based on that initial interaction?
You'll get a feel for it. Do you explain things in a way you can understand?
Mm.
Are they patient with your questions? Or do you feel rushed?
What if they don't really seem to be listening to me? Should I just walk out?
You don't have to be that dramatic.
Yeah.
But you should trust your gut. If you feel dismissed
Yeah.
or like you're not being heard, it might not be a right fit.
It's like any relationship, right?
Exactly. And don't forget about the staff.
Oh, yeah, the dental hygienists, the receptionists.
Everyone. Are they friendly? Are they helpful?
Yeah.
A well-run office usually means the dentist cares about the overall patient experience.
You want to feel like a person, not just a set of teeth, right?
100%. And speaking of feeling like a person,
Yeah.
let's talk about something that's often overlooked, your own comfort level.
Right, because going to the dentist isn't exactly known for being relaxing.
It can be anxiety-inducing for a lot of people.
For sure.
Some people have actual phobias.
Yeah.
A good dentist will recognize that and offer solutions.
Like what kind of solutions?
It could be gentle techniques,
Okay.
sedation options if needed,
Oh, wow.
or even just taking extra time to explain what they're doing.
That makes a big difference.
So how do you know if the dentist found is a good dentist or not if you're someone who gets really nervous about dental work?
Right. What should I ask?
Be upfront about your concerns during the consultation.
Okay.
Say, hey, I'm a little anxious about this. Ask how they handle anxious patients.
Got it.
See if they're willing to work with you to make you feel more comfortable.
If they're dismissive or impatient,
Yeah,
probably not a good sign.
not a good sign at all. Okay, enough about anxiety. Let's move on to something a little more fun.
Fun at the dentist's office. I'm intrigued.
Let's talk about technology.
Oh, yeah. It seems like every industry is going high-tech these days.
Dentistry is no exception.
So how has technology changed the dental experience?
In so many ways, modern technology can really improve diagnosis, treatment,
Okay.
and comfort.
Give me some examples. What kind of cool gadgets are we talking about?
Well, for starters, think about digital x-rays.
Okay.
They use way less radiation than those old school ones.
That's a plus.
And some offices even have intraoral cameras.
What's that?
It's a tiny little camera that goes inside your mouth,
Oh, wow.
so you can actually see what the dentist is seeing.
So it's not just like them pointing at a blurry x-ray and being like, see that dark spot?
Exactly. It takes away some of the mystery.
That's awesome. But how do you know if the dentist you found is a good dentist or not? Just based on how fancy their technology is.
It's not always about having the latest and greatest.
Okay.
The key is that the technology aligns with your needs and that the dentist knows how to use it effectively.
That makes sense.
For example, some dentists now use CAD/CAM technology.
What's that?
It allows them to design and make a crown right there in the office.
Oh, wow. So you could get a crown in one day.
Yep, it's called same-day dentistry.
That's incredible. But I imagine that kind of technology is pretty expensive.
It can be, yeah. Which brings us to another important point, cost.
Oh, yeah.
Dental care can be a major investment.
Especially if you don't have good insurance.
Exactly. So you need a dentist who's upfront about their fees
Agreed.
and who can help you navigate the financial side of things.
Because no one wants to get hit with a surprise bill after a root canal.
Right. So don't be afraid to ask about costs up front.
Okay.
Talk about payment plans. Explore your insurance options.
Got it. So how do you know if the dentist you found is a good dentist or not if you're on a tight budget or have limited insurance?
One red flag would be if they're pushing unnecessary procedures
Okay.
or if they seem more focused on upselling you than on what you actually need.
So basically you want someone who's honest and transparent.
Exactly. A good dentist will prioritize your health and well-being,
Yeah.
and they'll work with you to find a treatment plan that fits your budget and your circumstances.
Awesome. So we've talked about finding a dentist who's a good communicator, who makes you feel comfortable,
Right.
who has the right experience and technology. But you also mentioned something about finding a dentist who aligns with your values.
Oh, yes, that's an important one.
Could you unpack that a little bit? What does that actually mean?
It's about finding someone who shares your philosophy on dental care,
Okay.
because there are different approaches.
I've never really thought about that.
Some dentists are very intervention-oriented.
Meaning?
They're quick to recommend treatments,
Okay.
even for minor issues.
Got it.
Others are more conservative.
Okay.
They prefer to take a watch-and-wait approach.
So how do you know if the dentist you found is a good dentist or not, if their whole philosophy doesn't match yours? How do you even know what your philosophy is?
That's a great question. It starts with thinking about your priorities.
Okay.
Are you someone who wants to be super proactive and prevent any potential problems before they arise?
Okay,
Or do you prefer to avoid unnecessary interventions?
I see what you mean. So think about what's important to you.
Exactly. Think about your past experiences with dentists.
Yeah,
What did you like? What did you dislike?
got it.
And don't be afraid to ask potential dentists about their approach during a consultation.
That's a good tip. So you've done all the research, you've had the consultation,
You've checked all the boxes.
but you're still not sure if you found the one.
It can be tough to make that final decision.
Is there anything else we can look at to help us know if we're on the right track?
One thing we haven't talked about yet is emergencies.
Oh yeah, like what if you chip a tooth or something?
Exactly. Life happens, right? You want to know that your dentist have your back.
Totally. So how do you know if the dentist you found is a good dentist or not when it comes to handling those kind of unexpected situations?
Ask them about their policies for emergencies.
Okay,
Do they offer after-hours appointments? What about weekends?
that would be a lifesaver.
Right. And do they have a clear protocol for how to reach them if something happens outside of office hours?
It's one of those things you don't think about until you need it.
Exactly. But when you need it, you really need it.
Okay, so we've covered a lot.
We have.
Credentials, experience reviews, communication style, office vibes, technology, emergency care.
It's a lot to consider.
But I think what's really sticking with me is this idea of finding a dentist who's the right fit for you.
Yep. Your individual needs and values.
So how do you know if the dentist you found is a good dentist or not? For you specifically.
Honestly, a lot of it comes down to your gut feeling. Yeah, if something feels off.
Even if you can't quite explain it.
Exactly. It's okay to keep looking.
You're allowed to be picky when it comes to your health.
You deserve to feel good about your dentist.
Totally. Now, before we wrap things up, I
Yeah.
want to circle back to those different dental philosophies we talked about.
The interventionist versus conservative approaches.
Can you give us some more specific examples of what those might look like in a real-life situation?
Sure. Let's say you have a tidal cavity.
Okay.
A dentist with a more interventionist approach might say, let's fill it now before it gets any bigger.
Makes sense.
But a dentist with a more conservative approach might suggest keeping an eye on it for a while.
And seeing if it actually progresses.
Exactly. Neither approach is necessarily wrong.
Right, it's just different.
It depends on your personal preferences.
So how do you know if the dentist you found is a good dentist or not, if you don't even know what those different philosophies are called or how to ask about them?
Don't be afraid to just ask. Say something like, if I had a minor issue, would you typically recommend treating it right away, or would you consider monitoring it first?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Their answer will give you a lot of insight.
It's about being an active participant in your oral health.
Exactly. You're not just blindly following orders.
You're part of the decision-making process.
And if you know you prefer a certain approach,
Like a holistic approach or a minimally invasive approach.
there are dentists who specialize in those areas.
So do your homework.
Yep. Ask around, find someone who fits your values.
Okay, last but not least, the financial stuff.
Ah, yes, the elephant in the room.
Dental care can get expensive.
It can, and not everyone has amazing insurance.
So how do you know if the dentist you found is a good dentist or not, if they're not really willing to talk about money or work with you on a payment plan?
That's definitely a red flag.
Okay.
Every practice has its own policies, of course.
Sure.
But a good dentist will be patient and understanding.
Hmm.
They should be able to explain your insurance coverage clearly,
Okay.
what your out-of-pocket costs might be,
Yeah.
and whether they offer any payment plans or financing options.
It's about feeling empowered, not pressured.
Absolutely. And if you're in an area with a lot of dental practices, don't be shy about comparing prices.
That's a good tip.
It's like shopping for anything else. Do your research and find best value.
Okay, wow, we've covered so much in this deep dive.
I know, right? It's been a journey.
I feel like I have a much better sense of how to find a great dentist now.
That's what we were hoping for.
Any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are still on the hunt?
Finding a great dentist is an investment in your health and well-being.
So true.
Take your time,
Mm-hmm.
do your research, ask lots of questions, and most importantly, trust your gut.
Love it.
You deserve excellent dental care.
Absolutely. And with a little effort.
You can find a dentist who keep you smiling for years to come.
I love that. It's so empowering to know that we have choices and that we can find a dentist who really gets us.
Exactly.
And hey, if you happen to be in the Rock Hill, South Carolina area,
Yeah.
Piedmont Dental seems like a great place to start.
I've heard these things about them.
They offer a wide range of services. They
Mhm.
seem to really prioritize patient comfort and education.
And they have a fantastic reputation in the community.
So how do you know if the dentist you found is a good dentist or not? Ultimately, it comes down to finding someone who makes you feel confident
Comfortable.
and well cared for.
It's your smile, your health, your choice.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into finding the perfect dentist. We hope you found this information helpful and encouraging.
Remember, a healthy smile starts with finding the right dental partner.
Happy brushing, everyone.